Hey everyone, it is Renee, aka Vicious Vixen, and I have some found footage. This is from my Beetlejuice look last year. I completely thought that I deleted this or just lost it, but I found it and I wanted to share it with you. So I'm just priming my eye and I'm spreading it out with a beauty sponge, and once I'm happy with that, I go in with my first eyeshadow, which is a matte magenta shadow, and I'm going to spread that in my would-be or my usual transition area. And once I have that blended out to the opacity that I want, I am going to go into this dark purple shade. And initially I was going to focus that in my outer third, but then I went ahead and just spread it all through my crease and blended it up into that magenta just a little bit. Since we're gonna be Beetlejuice and he is dead, I just wanted my makeup to kind of mimic his in a way, so I'm gonna look like a corpse, or as close as I can, but also still be fashionable. For my mobile lid, I took a muted purple. It's kind of got a ashy gray tone to it basically, and I put that on my mobile lid, and after I blended everything together, I repeated that on my other eye. And then I cleaned up the fallout that I had before moving on to my foundation, which is going to look ridiculous and intense, and I'm sorry. But I wanted to look pale again because Beetlejuice is serving undead realness. So I mixed a concealer and a white cream, and I got this really pale color, but it still was close to my undertone, at least I think it was. And in the spaces that I didn't apply that, I just put my usual foundation color. And then I used a brush to blend that together, which gave me this pallor, which I feel like it worked out pretty well. Wherever it was a little too pale or it came off too ashy, I just added a little bit more foundation and blended it a little bit further until I got to the color that I wanted. And then once I was happy with that, I used a cream contour to bring out some of my sunken features, especially my cheekbones and my jawline basically, and I blended that together. Again, I went over that with my little beauty sponge just to add that in. Oh wait, no, I haven't gone in with the beauty sponge yet, sorry. Now I'm using the beauty sponge. I'm going to use the beauty sponge to blend all that together and make sure it's all pressed in nicely. And then after that, I also took it down onto my neck, and then I'm using a pretty pale powder to basically set everything, as well as give me that cast of death again. And I just put that on a little powder puff and pressed that into my face, and I let it set for just a little bit, and then I brushed it all away. I repeated those purple colors on my lower lash line. I used a small brush to spread out that primer again, and then I went in with a fluffy brush to add that magenta. And once I was happy with bringing that down a bit farther, again I wanted it to look sunken in basically, I added that purple and blended that out. And for my lower waterline, I used a, what was it, a pencil, right? I used a black eye pencil, and I put that on kind of a little bit messily. Again, we have been under the dirt for a while, just chilling. This ain't pretty. It's gonna be a little bit grungy, and I didn't do false lashes or anything, but I did do a coat of mascara because I wanted my lashes to clump together and to look a little bit grungy. And I also rubbed it against my lash line a little bit. I wanted a tiny bit of sparkle, so for my inner corners I applied some glitter adhesive, and then I applied this toxic green color. It's actually a toxic green glitter. That's the name of the actual glitter. And for the moss, I first went in with a water activated liner, and it's green, and I just dotted that on in patches where I would be putting the actual moss. I went over that with a brown just to kind of add a little bit more texture, and then I dotted over that again with a green, And then while that dried down, I added a little bit more highlighter. I found a green highlighter and just put that in a few points. I didn't do anything to my eyebrows since they were going to be covered by the wig anyway, and Beetlejuice, I don't think Beetlejuice has eyebrows, so there we go. After I did my highlighting, I applied liquid latex to the mossy painted spaces on my face, as well as putting a little bit on the backs of the pieces of moss that I was going to adhere. I let those get a little tacky, and then I just push those on, and I like how it kind of gives like a little bit more texture. You could also just paint the moss if you wanted, but I didn't feel like doing that. And for my lips, I blanked out my natural lip color with the foundation that was left on my beauty sponge, and I used a black liquid lipstick on the inner part of my lips just to make it look, you know, decrepit. And I also ended up using a black tooth enamel, and that is it. So I put on a costume and a wig, and as you can see, I put on some extra moss in my hair, and I colored this wig with some temporary hair color. But all in all, I was really happy with how this came out. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you will stick around for some more videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.